Welcome to another episode of Armchair Author Chats. I'm your host, Rita Slanina, and today we are talking to author Candra Campbell. She is just adorable and beautiful, and I adore seeing her in sprints every week. She's so great, and she's going to bring a different perspective to the show today. So let's bring her on. Hello, Candra. How are you?
Hi,
Hi,
I'm
I'm
great. How
great.
are
How are
you?
you? Hanging in there, hanging in there. I do want to let the audience know we are trying to remedy the echo issue on your end. Uh, please bear with us today while we deal with that. It's kind of ongoing at this point. So, welcome to the show. Let's start with the book Seek. This is very interesting. How would you pitch it in one sentence? And there's actually a backstory to this.
There
There
is.
is.
So,
So,
I
I
wrote
wrote
Seek
Seek
years
years
ago
ago
in
in
2009,
2009.
and I'll touch on it a little bit later. But my elevator pitch is Kira Donovan is too young to be a real hero, but when she finds herself bonded to a beautiful creature more evil than the devil himself, the only one she can turn to is her enemy, Jonathan Steed.
Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh. So, what was the spark that set this story in motion? Uh,
Well, funnily enough, I was watching the news and I was working on another book. And the in 2009, 2010, whenever I saw this story, they had this new technology that you would put it on. It looked like virtual reality glasses, and you would kind of hold it up to someone and it would scan their eyes. And for some reason, that started this whole sci fi technological aspect of this story. It just sparked something in my mind about eyeballs and technology. And it started from there and morphed into this interesting sci fi fantasy thing. So
so, do you generally do sci fi? I know you have several work in progress titles.
I
I
have
have,
yeah,
yeah,
I
I
tend to
tend to
lean
lean
heavily
heavily
into
into
some
some
type
type
of
of
fantastical world. I love a world within a world, and wherever magic seems real. So I don't want it to be so far fetched that you can't relate to it. But I do love that aspect.
See, I love that because if it is too fantastical, it kind of loses me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me
I'm
too.
a huge fan of it being kind of like, oh, I see how that could be possible. Like, all right, you've got my suspension of disbelief going. I'm in.
Yeah.
So, how do you make your characters feel so real? Because we've just discussed how they have a little bit of fantastical aspect to them. Do you base them on people you know, or do they take on a life of their own as you write?
A little bit of both. I always, when I develop a story, I see a character, who they are, what their job title is, and um, what their quirks are, and what flaw they might have to work on. But then as I observe people, as do they tug their chin? Do they twirl their hair? Do they stutter? Do they have a, blink or a twitch or whatever? And I add that in to give it, a little more quirkiness.
I like that. That's nice. So, writing can be a wild process, as most writers are aware. So, I'm curious, do you have any quirky habits, routines, or must have rituals when working on a book?
Um,
Um,
I don't know if it's a must-have ritual, but it happens to me every day. So I'm sleeping, and at some point, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, I need to use the restroom. And when I come back, I lay back down and try to go back to sleep, and my brain starts writing until I'm forced to get up and actually type it. Because it's just playing, like the book is going on, and I'm like, I'm going to lose all of this if I don't write it down. So I have to go start writing, and so I'm up. before everybody else, writing for probably 3 or 4 hours
This explains
before
our
anybody else.
3 a.m. club. Like,
Exactly.
exactly. In I don't even know what word to use. It's just that's us. That is it.
Yeah.
That's why we're up so early.
Yeah, that's it.
So, what was the most rewarding or most challenging part of writing Seek?
I'm gonna check my notes for this one.
Or any other work in progress or title that
Yeah,
you'd
okay.
like to
So
share?
I went with the most rewarding when after I self-published that installment of Seek, and it isn't complete. I'll touch on that later. I got like little notes and letters and gifts from young girls like 11 to 13 because I'm a middle grade YA author. A lot of people don't classify it as YA because it's kind of clean. It has a lot of adventure, but it's not edgy enough really for YA. So even if
I'm a
my
fan of that though.
awesome, me too. Yeah, even if my pro tags are a little older, it appeals to younger girls. So I would get these sweet little notes, and I still have them somewhere. And they would tell me how much they loved it and when are you writing the next one. And again, I'll touch on that. But that was really something that was super sweet to um, experience, but it also made me feel really guilty because I knew that I was stuck on Seek and I had missed something when I published it and I wanted it to be better. I knew it wasn't all that it could be. So um, that was my challenge.
So let's dive into that because that is the writer's
Okay.
plight. Like we do have this guilt and this responsibility on our shoulders to our audience, which I don't think most readers are aware of that pressure. So
It's
maybe
extreme,
divulge a
isn't
little
it?
bit. It is.
Yeah.
So maybe divulge a little bit into what's going on with Seek today.
Okay. Well, I'll kind of start at the beginning, and it's a bit of a long story, and it touches
We
on
got
some
time.
personal aspects. But who doesn't have those come up when we're writing, right? Real life happens. So I had been going to writers' conferences, and I had a great critique group, and I was really involved in the community. And this is 2010, 2011 time period. And I went to a writers conference and I had Seek set up. I'm going to show the book. So as an acronym, so that each four was going to be a novella, and it would start with the first letter that it stood for, right? So it'd be Seek Search, Seek
I love
Evade,
that.
etc.
That's great. Brilliant.
Right. So I pitched it and I had a great experience because while I was sitting there talking to this pretty amazing agent who's was quite well known. I'm not even sure if she's still agenting, but I'm not going to name names. And she called over a publisher to the table and told me to pitch it to her. And then they both sat there and they were like, "We love this. Go home, finish all four novellas and then send it to us." And I was like, oh, wow. So I was in talks with both an agent and a publisher right off the bat. And I went home, started working on it, and got through what I thought was the complete version of number one. And it turns out it wasn't. I cut it at the wrong place. But it was October 2012, and I was working on these novels. And we got a call, my husband and I, that we were going to be inheriting our two infant grandchildren. You saw probably on my Instagram that we have.
And you are
Yes,
busy.
yes. So we actually have 5 adult children. We were empty nesters at the time, and we hadn't had babies for 20 years. And all of a sudden, we had 2 in bottles and diapers. And I was overwhelmed, to say the least. We both looked like zombies for at least a year. We didn't sleep. We didn't know what to do. We were late everywhere we went.
It keeps you young.
Yeah, but we had a motorcycle. They didn't fit in my car. Like, we had been previously living in our RV, traveling around playing golf. Like we were just free. And so it was a complete shock. And I couldn't keep up with my classes. So after failing the same class twice, I finally withdrew from school and I quit writing for a while. I just had to kind of dedicate my time to raising these babies that I agreed to take. And so I put it all on the back burner. And when they were a little bit older, uh, kindergarten age, I think, I thought, well, I'll just finish this and I'll just send them out myself because I was really embarrassed. Like I sent an email to the agent and the publisher and apologized, and of course I didn't hear back. I'm sure I just sounded like a flake, but um, so I thought, well, I'll just do it myself, and I really did not know what I was doing, and it's evident when you see how many typos are in the book, and it's just kind of
That's part of the
scattered.
growth as a
Anyway,
writer too, though.
yeah,
I think in book
yeah,
one of my novella, there's a typo literally in the first sentence. So
yeah. I don't know. There's
I
so
give
many.
you grace, and I say,
Yeah,
give yourself some grace, please.
exactly. Yeah. So I did the best I could. Since then, I have gone back to school. I finished my bachelor's and my master's in creative writing. So maybe I'm a little bit better at catching typos now. I'm not going to say I'm great, but it's a little better. And so moving forward, after I published it, like I said, I would get those cute notes. And then even still till this day, I'll bump into one of the young girls in the area. Will find out that I have a, young adult book, and they'll read it and they'll be like, "Oh, write me book two." And I'm like, "Oh no, not again." So, but at least I am finally working on it again. And I'm glad I waited because I didn't know that it was a 7-book series and not a 4-book series.
So really, it becomes more of you were in a research, learning, and discovery phase because
I
at the
was.
beginning of that, it was unclear that you were just thinking, "Hey, 4 books. Oh, we'll do this," and now it's going to be 7-book series. That's going to be
Yeah.
hello, super great.
Yeah.
Your fans are like,
Yeah.
let's do this.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a lot bigger than I originally envisioned it. The 4-book series is still very similar, but I cut it at the wrong part. So the first book now has 38,000 or something more words than it did when I published it. And I didn't know that there was a whole other character. So the 3 extra novels have a different protagonist, and they're kind of parallel series that work in tandem. So I'm really excited about it. I've never done anything like that before. It's really neat to write the scene from 2 different perspectives in 2 different novels and have it be the same.
So
Yeah.
what about that story surprised you? Because how do we go from, I mean, obviously we had a long journey of discovery. So what surprised you that you could extend this series out into multiple or more so books?
Um, yeah, that I didn't know that they were in the same world. So, I actually wrote the 7th book. I wrote a version of it, was the very first novel I ever wrote. And I didn't know that it had another portion to the story. And then years later wrote Seek. And then most recently, I think when I started writing it, I think it was October 12th, just before I found your channel. I started writing the first novel, and I didn't know that it was connected yet to Seek or to the very first novel I ever wrote. So I didn't know that they were all in the same world. So I've had to rewrite everything, but when they all fell together, I was like, oh my gosh. So I'm writing it very quickly. I'm surprised at how fast it's going. I'm almost at 400,000 words, I think, since October 12th.
Wow, and you are
Yeah,
fast. You're a fast writer
I
because
am a
we're
fast
in our
writer.
sprints. and we come back to check in and support each other's last focus time, your word count is just
It's crazy.
impressive and inspiring. I sit there and go,
So,
gosh, I type so slow.
yeah, I wanted to tell you how much your sprints have helped me. So I went through all of so I keep like a planner with how many words I write each day. I went through and added up all of the Fridays and Saturdays since November, which is when I found you. Um, and on Fridays and Saturdays, I've written a total of 91,414 words. So without your sprints, I would not have word count.
Oh, I am so happy to be here and help you support your journey in writing, because that's what they're for. It helps keep me accountable, but it's more so like I want to support all my friends and new friends and all the people that are trying to do it.
It's such a huge help.
It is. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So publishing can be a roller coaster, as your story was telling us, right?
Yes.
So what was the biggest wow, or what just happened with that moment? I think I know what the answer is, but I'm going to let you answer the question.
Yeah, it would have to be that one. I was so nervous to pitch the book. I don't, for the people listening, whoever's been to a writer's conference and done a pitch, I'm sure they understand this. You already feel like you're going to throw up, like you're not sure. Yeah. You're just so nervous anyway. It's a different, because you're so passionate about your project and you don't want to come off, unprofessional, but you're like, really, really, it's so good.
It's great, people.
Yeah.
It's great. I don't know what
Yeah.
else I have to tell you. No, no, but they're really good. I think at conferences trying to help ease that, but I don't think any amount of help really eases it. So,
No, it just gets worse. So when you're sitting there and you're just hoping for anybody to say, just send me 5 pages even, because usually you don't hear anything back on a query. So to have somebody call over a publisher to pitch it right then and there, that would have to be oh, somebody likes the idea. Somebody was interested, enough to have me tell someone else about it. That was, for me, I guess, probably my biggest wow.
I like that. So every writer has those stuck moments. How do you get past writer's block or creative slumps?
Well, like we were talking about, when people would ask me, please, to write the next one, and I just knew there was something holding me back, that little voice saying it's not ready. I mean, I started so many times. I have probably 30 versions of 3 or 4 chapters of the next installment, and none of them were right. So I would move on and write something else. I have, oh my gosh, probably 3 or 4 complete series that are just sitting there doing nothing. Because they're also not ready. Something else is, holding me back. There was, I have a duology, a middle grade duology that I recently tried querying, maybe a year ago. And I sent out like a test query of maybe 10 to 20 queries and heard nothing back. So I just kind of took it as, well, if it sparked any interest for the market right now, I would have heard something. And so I just kind of put it away and moved on and wrote something else, So I have a lot of beginnings of things. I just don't stop writing. I just stop writing that.
So you shift gears into a new story or a series.
Yeah.
That's a good way to get over it. Yeah, I like that. So let's dream big. If Seek were turned into a movie or TV show, who would you cast in the lead role?
Okay, so I have 2. So like I said, Seek is going to have a new name. It will still have bearing to the original series. Um, but so my main character in this book, you can kind of see this gal that I hired, the photographer that took her picture. I actually bought all 4 of this girl doing other things for the different covers, but I don't think I'm going to use them even if I self-publish because of the new name, etc. So it would be someone like her. And I was trying to think who was a good fit for her personality, because she's kind of tough and stomps around, a little bit of a bad attitude kind of thing, trust issues. So I thought, pardon?
I said I love that.
Yeah.
I love her. I love her character.
Yeah.
I love it.
She's the complete opposite of the other pro tag. So I would pick Reagan Reward. Not sure if I'm saying that right. She played the little sister on Young Sheldon. She was pretty young there, but I think she's 18 now. And she kind of has that sass that could pull off that ponytail of attitude, you know. So I think she would be a good fit. And then for the other 3 books, the main character's name is Constance, and she kind of reminds me of like a young Twiggy, like, you know, kind of willowy and soft.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A little reserved. So I picked McKenna Grace, and I loved her in the movie Gifted, where she was that child being raised by her single uncle, I think.
Yes,
And she was super smart. Yeah. She was recently in Ghostbusters too. So, but I think she would do a good job.
Her, you're gonna laugh at this.
Yeah.
And maybe this is one of her first breakout roles. I'm not sure, but she was much younger, like
Yeah.
much younger. Fuller House.
Oh yeah,
she was
I forgot. I watched
girl.
it years ago.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite shows. I still watch it over and over. But
I haven't watched it in a long time. I forgot about it.
But she has blonde hair in that, and in Ghostbusters she has short brown hair.
Right, she has short brown hair, but she would need to go back to kind of a mousy brown, but she has like kind of the right bone structure and physique, and the kind of ability to kind of be a little meek, but not too much. The right amount.
I can totally see it, because it almost epitomizes her. It really does.
Yeah,
she's.
I think so too.
Most of her roles are like that, right? She'd be a good choice. I like that.
I think so too. Yeah,
so books have the power to change us. What's one book besides your own that has deeply impacted you?
So, I was thinking and thinking and thinking, and there's been so many books that I could say changed me one way or another. But one book that really surprised me and impacted me was Abarat. And it's largely unknown and unappreciated because of the time. I think it came out early 2000s, like 2003, 2004, by Clive Barker. And it's a world within a world, which I love. So there's like weird, quirky magic, and the main character's name is Candy Quackenbush. Like, that's what kind of a weird name is that? But it's perfect, right?
Clever.
Yeah. I should have got the cover down because I have it right up there on my shelf. But it's got like weird art inside it too, and it's weird and magical, and it's right there. It's literally one of those things where if you just walk down the street, you can like walk through an imaginary barrier and be in this weird world, right? And I love that so much, where it just, whoops, how'd I get here?
It seems to have shaped how you write a little bit too, because there's a little bit of similarity. I love that. I love that. Yeah. So if you could have a dinner party with 3 literary characters, yours or someone else's, who would you invite and why?
Okay, so for this, I chose Ron Weasley, Prim Everdeen, and Lucy Pevensey. Don't ask me why. They're all a little bit, well, Ron Weasley and Prim Everdeen, both kind of side characters, but impact the story so huge. And they're kind of always kind of set on the side burner. And Lucy Pevensey, while The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe takes place largely around her, she's still a little bit of a side character, kind of in her own story, it seems, right? And I was thinking it would be a really neat story or a really neat conversation to talk like bravery, poverty, war, and with kind of the side characters who made such big impacts in their worlds, right? And get that conversation going.
So I'd like to be a fly on the wall there.
Yeah.
So, what's one piece of advice you'd give to aspiring writers who hope to follow in your footsteps?
Don't.
No, that is not an answer.
Yeah. Okay. So let me explain further.
Okay.
Don't make my mistakes, right? So don't do it the way that I did it. So firstly, like if I could go back and rewind and start over, the first thing I would do would be take some type of writing courses first. Even if you've always been told, like was my instance, I was writing in a newspaper, I was actually in law school, and people would tell me, oh, you're such a good writer, and I was like, really? And but when you go to write a novel, it's a different style of writing. So first learn that, even if like you don't have to go get a master's or an MFA or anything like that, but maybe who is it? Brandon Sanderson. He has like his college lectures on YouTube for free. So even if you just watch things like that, follow blogs, watch the way that the story is crafted, because I didn't get that for a long time and I just wrote all kinds of crazy stuff. So do that first, and then get yourself a writing partner, a critique partner, and be nice and listen to what they say, even if you're like, I don't do that. Yes, you do. If they're telling you, you do. And then
have humility in that, definitely.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. You might not be ready to admit it yet, but you will someday. So just be humble and be like, okay, thank you. And then lather, rinse, and repeat. Just kind of do that over and over again until you find your way. But don't rush it. I feel like I published too soon, and I regret that. And that's why I say don't do it my way. Do it when you're ready, and when other people say, "Hey, this is ready," which a few did. I forgive you, but. But I wasn't ready.
Great advice. Great advice. So, what's next for you? Can you give us a sneak peek into an exciting projects or stories in the works?
Yes. So, Seek will now be book 3 in a series of 7, and it will be the completed 4 that Seek was originally supposed to be will be a parallel story to the other one. They will all be renamed, rebranded, and hopefully traditionally published. I really have my heart set on it, but we'll see. If not, I have some cover inspiration that I think would look really cool. So I'll be happy with cool covers.
Perfect. So, a few bonus rapid fire questions. They're light and silly. If you had to describe your writing style in 3 words, what would they be?
Hang on tight. I write really fast.
I like it. So, your writing fuel?
Coffee.
Ooh, coffee. Coffee, tea, or something stronger was what? No one has said anything stronger. So I think I'm in a good crowd at this
Yes.
if If you could magically live inside any fictional world for a day, which would it be?
Okay, so I thought and thought about this, and it's not really a fictional world, but it is a fictional world to me. So I have severe claustrophobia, agoraphobia, clythrophobia, like it's no fun. So I don't fly anymore, and I've always wanted to go to Germany and the Swiss Alps or the Alps in general, Italian Alps. Like I'll take any Alps. I love the mountains. And so I would like to be Heidi, and I'll just go milk my cow and make my own butter and make some cream and cheese.
I love this. Oh my gosh. And of
A
course,
little
the song
embarrassing.
music pops into my head because you know me and music, I just can't stop.
Yes,
The hills are alive. No.
right? Oh, it's beautiful. I would
I
love to see it so much.
That's great.
So,
Well,
yeah.
thank you, Candra, so much for being here.
Thank
Would
you for
you
having
like-
me.
Oh, you're so welcome. Would you like to leave our audience with details on how they can find out more about you?
Oh my gosh.
And when we
I
can look
wish I
forward
was.
to these books.
Yes, I wish I was better at social media. You can find me on YouTube under Candra Campbell. If you're looking on Facebook, it's Candra Campbell John Campbell. Good luck with that one. And what is my Instagram? I think it's Candra Writes MG. Sounds right, I think.
Yes, that's correct. Because I was stalking
Okay.
you this morning.
So I'm out there, like, there's only a few Candra Campbells in the world, so chances are you'll find me.
I love that. Well, thank you so much, Candra. We will be looking for you for sure.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye. If you like this interview, please like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to share. And for more information, links will be in the description below and also in the show notes on the podcast.